Singer-songwriters Dan and Wendy Bagan from Rochester, Alberta, decided to make music together and married at the age of 20. Dan taught high school music and drama in Edmonton for 15 years. In the last 5 years, he turned an inner-city high school into a fine arts high school. Some weeks he worked 80 hours. He also produced 30 albums for music artists in his basement. It sounds a bit like a movie script, doesn't it? But a tragedy was brewing. Wendy was a lonely wife, raising 2 children without the security of her husband's love.
While he wanted to get to know me, I had spent all these years thinking he didn't. So that set a pattern, and it set me on a wrong path, because I was convinced that one false move, he would either leave me or I'd be out, and I had a sensitivity about that.
You had some real insecurity that was rooted in your own childhood.
Yes.
Just quickly tell us what helped to shape what's going to be a crisis here.
Probably in a nutshell, I came from a very good family. I had loving parents, but my mother was sick with a brain tumor for most of my growing up. Undiagnosed brain tumor. And so what that meant was that the onus of responsibility for raising a younger brother and sister and looking after home fell to me. And my father and I had a wonderful relationship, and we still do, but it was a lot of responsibility for a little kid. And I kind of lived my adult life first. I've done everything backwards. And it made me a perfectionist, a high achiever, very hard on myself, and quite insecure, I would say. So it's taken 30 years of marriage to work through those issues and come out the other side with God's help.
And where did the absence of a sensitive, present husband take you?
Well, I was looking for attention, and I found it somewhere else.
You had an affair?
Yes. And I didn't set out to do that, but it...
I don't think anyone ever does that. You know?
It happened. I mean, when you're getting attention from somewhere, you go where you're getting attention. And I think at about the time...
Well, and worse yet, this fellow was a female predator. He had had multiple affairs. And so when he found Wendy, he was a good friend of ours, when he found Wendy, he waited for the appropriate moment with her insecurities, approached them, knowing full well he was a predator. And that's, it's not she became an easy mark. And
how did you, this is obviously very complex.
Yes.
How long were you in this crucible? And how is it that you're sitting here today, loving each other and venturing with the Lord?
Yeah, that, by the grace of God,
yeah.
Absolutely by the grace of God. And we experienced the complete concept that when you're at your weakest moment, God at his absolute strongest. What happened in our lives, I happened to find an email which referred to what had happened, and this would be now 10 years ago, even, and 9 years ago was when the meltdown happened, but this affair thing had happened earlier than that, quite a bit earlier than that. And I approached Wendy and I said, what's this all about? And because I couldn't believe it. I had always put her on a pedestal. And through the second 10 years of our marriage, I had grown to deeply love her and respect her and love everything about her. All I wanted was a deeper relationship with her. I had no idea what was holding us back towards that deeper relationship. So when I saw this, well, first thing, of course, I did the natural male thing, which was wanting to take a 2x4 to this fellow and wanting to being devastated.
Yes.
You can't understand that kind of pain unless you go through it. And I realized I had to reevaluate my entire life now, because all the things that you thought you could count on, including God, all of a sudden were in front of you, but the pieces didn't fit now. The puzzle didn't work.
Can you imagine being able to forgive apart from God?
No. Matter of fact, I think that's virtually impossible, because God took me on a journey of forgiveness. Because I realized at the point when I found out days later that, why am I so upset? Is it because of something that she's done to me or something she's done to herself or whatever? And I realized that I had invested 20 years in this marriage. And I was deeply in love with her, and I was not going to lay down and die. I thought, I will take the proactive approach by saying, Father, how can I get through this? And God said, if you allow me to, we'll get through this.
Two strong themes permeated the Bagans' reconciliation story: crying out to God and fully surrendering to Him. Their great discovery, as you heard, was that when we're at our weakest, God is ready to show Himself strong on our behalf. Last August, Dan and Wendy celebrated 31 years of marriage. Isn't it a miracle? We would love to pray with you. Maybe marriage is the thing on the top of your list today. The number's available 24 hours a day, every single day of the year. Write it down if you're not wanting to call this minute, would you? 1-866-273-4444. And maybe you think that issues in your marriage, in your life, are just too big to be fixed in a prayer. Would you just discover the difference that being still in God's presence can make? Let us pray with you, won't you? We want to strengthen your marriage, too. And, you know, we're not just offering the Love Dare book as our gift for your partnering financially with us this month, but we're having a Love Dare campaign for the first 40 days of the new year. All it requires is for one person to say yes and take the Love Dare. You're going to be able to interact with other couples online, and we're going to highlight with video coverage 3 couples as they take the, oh, there they are. We're meeting them for the first time. Oh my, I am so distracted. I wonder where they're all from. We're going to find out more about them. Well, we're going to find out a lot about them as they do these acts of love that some of you may already have begun. But here's the great thing. Call, make your pledge, get the book, be ready to start with us in January. Oh, I'm just feeling a ripple of recovery and refueling of marriages right across the country.